Daily Ascend. All right, Zach.
What's going on?
Appreciate you hopping on to the Daily Ascend podcast, man. Like I said before we even hopped on, I was browsing your content immediately on the kind of the explore page, and I was like, "What is this program?" And kind of clicked it and was browsing, and you do some really really solid programming. So I definitely had to reach out to you, and I appreciate you once again for coming on.
For sure, man. I appreciate you finding me and just getting some views on the page.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I did throughout my browsing. I think the main thing that caught my attention was Project Beef. Is that the
Yeah,
what you call
that's
it?
the name. That's the name of it. I've got a nickname I was given. It's beef because I love eating like ground beef.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
fuck with that.
I had that nickname given to me, and I was like, man, what am I gonna name this page? And I was like, Project Beef. I don't know. So.
Yeah, no, I like it, man. That's cool. So when I was going through your content, so how have you even started getting into programming or anything? Like, I guess, is it previous sports or anything? Like, does that what kind of piqued interest in general for physical? Like
Um,
square one, I guess, or what's kind of your
Man,
background?
that's a long story because I've been working out over half my life now. I grew up playing football, and my dad, he kind of got me into the gym. My parents were divorced growing up, so I'd go live with him during the summer. Um, and my summer going from sixth grade to seventh grade, he was like, "All right, you're gonna start working out." And I was like, "Okay." And I tell people this story, and they never believe me. But the first day, we had like a full garage setup, like nothing crazy. There was no rubber mats. This is like clang and bang, like metal plates,
Oh
stuff like
yeah,
that.
the old school.
Um, and he's like, "All right, we're gonna see what your one rep back squat is." And like, mind you, like I had done back squats, but not like one reps or anything. I'd put 135 on, messing around with the other guys in
Yeah.
middle school. And I squatted 315 and I damn near like almost cried because like I was ass to
Jeez.
grass. Like, when you hit it, like you're coming out of a hole and it's like a 7 second like fight. Like that's exactly what it was. And then right after that, I racked the bar and like I'm like beat, like I'm done. And my dad's like, "What? You think we're done?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, it's gonna be a long summer."
Man, dude. Yeah, it's like when you settle into that hip pocket right there, you hit the
Yeah.
bottom, just all that drive. So was your dad a big fitness guy then, I'm guessing, or?
Yeah, he played college ball, and he's a big dude. He's like 6'2". Back when he was playing, he was an offensive lineman, so he was like 330, 340 pounds.
Gee.
Super strong. Went to state for powerlifting in high school and stuff. So he's a big guy and he likes to lift.
Okay, gotcha. So would you say you kind of got some of that intro from your dad
Yeah, for
from the
sure. For
get-go?
sure. Yeah. He
Nice.
got me into like Olympic lifting, which like at that point I didn't even know what that was. And he was like, "I'm going to teach you how to do a power clean. I'm going to teach you how to do a snatch." And it was like I wasn't doing full squat snatches or full squat cleans or anything like that. It was just power, just to learn the movements. But once I got into high school, it was funny because that's when the coaches started teaching those Olympic lifting lifts, and
Hmm.
they didn't even really know how to do them. And they're like, "All right, Zach, come over here, get the barbell. This is what y'all are doing today." And they'd be like, "Show them what a power snatch is." And I was like, "All right."
Yeah, I just kind of got thrown into the fire. Like, he looks like he knows how to move it. Let's see if he
Yeah,
can teach it.
yeah.
Okay, and then you mentioned you kind of got into football, right?
Yeah, so I played football. I played a few different sports in high school. Football, I was on the powerlifting team. My high school had a huge powerlifting team, which is like the only school in this area that was big into that. We sent a few guys to state every year, and that was a fun experience too. And then did some track, played baseball for 2 years, but football was definitely my main sport.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, any kind of sport or activity pretty much lays a foundation for,
For sure.
especially if you maintain that, and it seems like you've obviously maintained that since then.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so we kind of mentioned offline like that you were kind of in CrossFit a little bit or training for that, or how
yeah.
did how did you kind of get thrown into that? Because I know once CrossFit kind of
Yeah.
hit the ground, everybody was jumping onto it.
That was once again my dad and my stepmom. I was going to the rec at Texas State where I was going to school at, and they're like, we started doing this CrossFit thing. And like back then, like I was clowning CrossFit. Like you'd see the YouTube videos, people are dropping barbells on the back of their head. People are falling off doing toe bars or butterfly pull-ups, and they're falling off, their grips are coming off. And oh yeah, so I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, there's no way. And he convinced me to go to a class one day, and the workout had overhead squats and 400-meter runs. And I'm like, okay, I walk into this gym. I think I'm the fittest guy there. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I lift more than these people. Like, maybe my cardio's not as good, but I'm going to beat them just because I'm going to be able to squat better. And I couldn't do an overhead squat, like with an empty barbell. Like,
Mobility.
my shoulder mobility was so bad. And then the thing that got me hooked to it was there was a 65-year-old woman in that class, and she kicked my ass. And she had weight on the bar. Like, she had like
Oh,
65
wow.
pounds. So like,
Yeah.
and I had no weight, and I was failing empty barbell overhead squats. And I was like, I left that day and I was like defeated. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing this. And it
Hmm.
spiraled from there.
Gotcha. So you thrived even when you kind of had some failure there, or a
Yeah.
little embarrassment, you know?
I knew right away. I was like, okay, this is something new. And like, I could just tell that people, like the people that were there, they just like, of course, they didn't all look like they're, not ripped six packs or anything like that, but like they were fit. And I was like, okay, this is weird that these like people are super fit. And, I can go back to my college right now, and people in there are jacked and like big, but
Hmm.
can't run 400 meters. So I was like, I'm going to start doing this.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
absolutely. I've seen the same thing. My first intro to CrossFit, my cousin was doing it. He's like, just come, you're pretty fit, but I think he just was like, let's see how well you
Let's
can
see
do.
what you got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's see.
Yeah.
And we were doing like some sort of AMRAP, and it was like 225 deadlifts. That was fine. But then it was the butter, like kipping, right?
The kipping
And
pull ups.
I've
Yeah.
never done those, only strict, and my
Yep.
calluses ripped, and I lawn chaired just.
Oh, yeah. That's everyone's first time in CrossFit.
Yeah, it was awful. It was not ideal. But then, like, immediately, some lady screamed because, I folded, and then immediately I go, okay, let's go, and just started ripping out deadlifts. So it was
Yeah,
cool. I get the excitement behind it when everyone else is like kind of cranking out the workouts and stuff.
for sure.
Yeah, so it was good. So then so from there, I'm guessing you stuck with it. Did you eventually in time find your own gym, or did you stick with that one, or how did you kind of continue after you realized you were interested?
So when I was in college and I just started CrossFit, the gym that my dad and stepmom were going to was in Bastrop, which is near Austin. So it was like a 45, 50-minute drive. And I was like, okay, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
I got to find a different gym. So I looked up, CrossFit gyms near me. And the gym I go to today that you see on all the videos, that was the first gym I went to on my own, as a
Wow.
20-year-old kid. I left that gym and went to another one for a little while, just because, I ended up leaving after college, coming back. But man, that gym it's hands down, like I might be biased, but it's one of the best CrossFit gyms in Texas. Like
What is it?
facilities wise, it's called Fitness Lab CrossFit in New
Okay.
Braunfels. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, nice. So then once you started there, as far as your training goes, did you like prep and do some competitions along the way, or did you just enjoy it as far as maintaining fitness and stuff like that?
When I first went in there, so I had a few other buddies that I went to high school with, and actually they went to college too. And then another buddy of mine that it was summer break, and he came back home from Texas A&M, and he was going there. And I get in there, and they're kind of like they've been doing it for a while, and they're like, "There's these things called competitions," and I was like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Yeah, like you sign up and you go do these workouts, and like you can go win money." And I was like, "Wait, win money to work
Yeah.
out? Like,
Oh yeah.
hold on here, I'm gonna start figuring this stuff out." So, yeah, I signed up with them for my first one. Uh, totally got like annihilated, just because like I was not used to that intensity. Like I was going to the class every day, which was pretty intense, and then you go into a competition, and like you got a pounding headache, middleweight, halfway through the workout, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up, I think I ended up getting like, I got on the podium like I was third, and I was like, okay, this could be something cool. And at the time, the girl I was dating, she was doing as well, and she wanted to be competitive as well. So we kind of like started our competitive journey together. So that's
Nice.
kind of how we kicked off with competitive CrossFit, and then it spiraled, and we eventually made it to the CrossFit Games. We fulfilled the dream, so fulfilled a goal of ours.
Yeah. Which year did you go?
We went in 2023 and 2024.
Okay. So what was that like? What did that feeling like when you kind of got to go and just compete? You know, you're surrounded by just studs and, you
It
know.
was it was super cool. I mean, you watch it on TV, like you watch like Rich Froning and Matt
Oh
Frazier
yeah.
and Tia Toomey and all these people, and you're like, I remember thinking like, dang, I would really want to go do this, but like at that point, you think it's impossible. Like you're like, there's no way I could ever get that good. And I thought that for a long time, and then something just kind of like snapped. We ended up we are like, all right, we're gonna like give this thing a real run, and then you make it. And to be honest, like the games was great, it was really fun, but semifinals, the competition you go to before to qualify for the games,
Mm-hmm.
that was always my favorite because that was like, okay, 10 teams are gonna make it, and everyone's nervous, right? Because like you mess up one workout, you're probably not going to make it. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
everything's on the line right there. Like once you get to the games, it's a little more relaxed because it's you got to the games. Like you have your teams that are going to go get first, second, third, and then it's kind of like it tears off really fast. Like the
Mm.
bottom teams are still really good, but compared to the top teams, there's a big gap.
You just see who start to running away with it. Like
Yeah, you can tell from the beginning. Yeah.
very cool. Yeah. So when you said, you kind of wanted to give it like a real shot, what did that process kind of look like for you mentally? Like what was that switch in you? Was it just like, cool, I'm going to commit, or was it more of like something you had to solve within yourself, or, what did that kind of switch look like for you to lock in on that?
Um, So we had done a team in 2022, and it was kind of like a team that I kind of just got put on because we had joined a different gym called Lone Star, and they had two teams at the time. One of them had gone to the games in 2021, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna make two teams and try to send two to the games this year." So,
Okay.
all right, I'll give it a try. And we had these like tryout things, and I basically got put on the B team, and it was like I didn't have any hard feelings about it. The way that I looked at it was like, all right, well, I'll just perform better than everyone on the A team. Um, but we ended up not making it that year. We didn't qualify for the games, and I had my buddies with me. They came to Knoxville to the semifinals to watch us, and I remember that day after the semifinals ended, we were in the stands, and I'm drinking a Michelob Ultra like straight out of. I come off the floor, and I'm like, bro, have a Michelob Ultra waiting for me. Like it
Yeah.
was a long weekend. We knew we were gonna make it, but I told them right there. I was like, next year, whatever team I put together or whatever team we do put together, we're going to the games. Like there is no other option.
Yeah.
And it was just like lock in after that. So
Gotcha. Okay. So as far as like your like day to day now, uh what's your training kind of look like? So is the content that you post now like your imams and just the wads that you do, things that you implement, or do you like to do like separate workout sessions as well, like
oh
tailored?
no, that's everything. Everything you see on Instagram, that's my actual workouts that I do. You don't get to see every single one of them because I don't post a video every day because it's a lot of like editing, and of course I'm at my day job and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all of those workouts, those are workouts that I do for my actual training, and I do a lot of other things too. Like I have about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes a day to train, so I go in before work. I get there usually like I start my session at 4 in the morning, which is like it sounds crazy, but you get used to it. But I have a good buddy of mine that he's a business owner, and he comes and works out with me, so I'm not alone. Like we're doing it
Yeah.
together. But yeah, we'll have a warm up, which is typically like something to do with the movements that are in the Metcon. And then we'll do the Metcon itself. And then we'll go into our strength, whether it's powerlifting, Olympic lifting. And then we'll have like a finisher, which is sometimes like a mini Metcon, or it could be bodybuilding.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I talked to Brandon Luckett for like maybe a few weeks ago. And that dude super dialed into, I know he's been to the CrossFit Games like 5 times or something.
Yeah, I competed against him. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I talked to him like maybe a month ago or so, and it's interesting is when know you're like, no, I'm doing it, I'm killing it, and then you talk to somebody who's killing it even more. He's like, yeah, I sleep like 3 hours sometimes because he has a baby. I'm like, I get up at like 5. I'm like, all right, like I eat half a bagel and then I go on about my workout. It's still relatively early,
For
but
sure.
like
Yeah.
it's just like you hear, and it's really cool as far as social media goes. Like even being able to talk to you, you're like, I'm like, man, I really like the way he does his scaling and the way he programs. I'm like, man, so it's really cool, kind of that iron sharpens iron type
Oh, yeah.
deal. Just great to hear from um anybody else who's doing that level of training and stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm a big believer in the saying that the 5 people that you hang around with is who you become. So, and like people think that that's just in person, but that can be online, right? Like that could be a podcast, that could be people you meet online. Like I might never meet you in person,
Mm-hmm.
but like now we've made a connection, and that's another connection that you make, and we can help each other make each other better. So
Yeah, like Chris Rigby, he's in the UK, and I know the other dude Johnny I talked to, he's in Hong Kong, right? So it's like, and he's done like 17 high roxes, and Chris has his own company, so it is super cool to where you're being able to exchange not only like content, but you're also able to kind of be inspired and be like, man, I really like the way this was said, especially as far as work ethic goes and stuff. Would you say that there's been something you has happened to you that has helped you cultivate kind of like the discipline in your life, or would you say that you've always been a pretty structured person?
uh, I'd like to think I've always been pretty structured, like with work, having the day job and all that stuff, which is like, I'm not complaining, everyone's got a day job, right? But I find a way to get, for me, like fitness is a release. And if I don't work out, I just don't feel right. It's kind of like brushing your teeth after you do it for so long. Like if I went to work without brushing my teeth, I'd be like, oh, this is nasty.
Mm,
So I got to get my workout in, for me to even feel like I'm, functioning at like my highest potential that day. So
mm-hmm,
that was just, there's days where I do take rest days, and every time I take a rest day, I feel off. I'm like, man, I feel extra tired today, and I sleep more, like I sleep in an extra hour, and
mm-hmm.
I feel like something's off. So it just became a habit over time.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, right? Especially when you can get to the point where you don't have to think about it. You just have adapted it into your daily routine and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So if someone were to kind of ask you, what's a good way to start developing that habit? We're teetering, towards the end of December. Everyone's January.
Hey, you're new me, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone kind of sets goals. So what would you have to say, in your level of experience and training and how you've been able to adapt it where somebody can start? Is it just kind of do it, or is it like find a person who can do it with you first, or does it start with yourself, or what's your take on that?
I think there's a few different ways you can do it. Like if you can find someone to commit, with you, then that will definitely help. But at the end of the day, I truly feel like it's a decision that you have to make with yourself. And, I'm a big fan of Andy Frisella. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He
Yeah.
owns First Form. I listen to him all the time, and he's like, you got the bitch voice and the boss voice, and it's one of them's going to tell you, hey, stay in bed, like it's comfortable. The other one's going to be like, you need to get up, you know what you need to do. And I think every day, especially starting out, because it's hard, every day you need to listen to the voice that's telling you like get up. Don't settle for the comfort, because you do that, before you know it, it's going to be December 2026, and you're going to be like,
Mm,
2027's coming, new year, new me, baby. Like this is gonna be my best year yet, and then it's just like a repetitive, just
mm,
cycle. And I see people do it a lot. It does get frustrating, if as someone that like you've locked in for so long, you're just like, what do you mean you don't want to get up and work out, right? But like, I also have to remember that there was days where I wanted to sleep in too, and I had to tell
mm-hmm,
myself. So it's just repetitive, daily action of just doing it. And then eventually, like we said, it just becomes a habit. And before long, it's if you don't do it, now you feel weird, right?
mm-hmm. No, absolutely. It's I agree, especially like I've been able to cultivate and kind of try and build the person that I want to be over time. It does not happen overnight, obviously, but I am glad at least of the fact where if I am speaking to somebody, um, they're kind of like, how do you do this? And like, I'll explain. Um, and in my head, I'm like, man, it's not easy though, man. Like, cause it's super easy. Like there's so many, I could just roll over and it is nice and cozy, but very similar to where I think my body is used to operating and functioning at this certain level. So when I don't hit that mark, it feels very Slavic and very slow,
Mm-hmm.
or like I can feel my body's just not,
It's just not
it's,
right. Yeah, it's just
it's
not
not
right.
awake. It's not active. It's not moving. So as far as like leadership goes and stuff like that, you said you're a big advocate of those top 5 people around you. Would you say that you kind of have that? Is it like family members, or is it old friends, or is it new friends you've made as far as your grouping goes? Or and then
I've got a really good, solid group of guys. My buddy Justin that works out with me every morning, like he's a great guy to be around. He's a family man. He owns his own business. He's very successful. He's a good husband. He's a good father. And he has goals. He doesn't just settle for anything. So he's a great mentor of mine. And it's great to be around him every day. My dad is another great mentor of mine. He got me started in all of this,
that he
and
did.
he's a very successful businessman. And he it's hard to explain to people where he started at because they didn't see it. But since I grew up and I'm his son, and I saw him from the very bottom to where he is now, and it's just kind of like he did hit the American dream. And it's awesome to see that because I think most people don't see that in person, right? They see it on YouTube or on podcasts. They listen to these guys like Andy, where it's like, hey, I made this much money my first 10 years of business, and people, they'll be like, oh, that's horse crap. Like
Mm-hmm.
he did good from the start, and it's like it's I'm privileged, not privileged, but I have the privilege to see someone firsthand come from nothing and go to where he is. Because my dad had me and my sister when my mom and my dad were 18, 19,
Oof,
and we were
babies,
struggling. We
babies.
were struggling, bro. So yeah, he's a big inspiration. And then I've got other friends that I lean on, and I've got people through internet connections that I lean on as well.
Mm-hmm.
Other fitness people, business people. I'm like I said, I listen to a lot of podcasts. So I listen to a lot of business podcasts, listen to a lot of fitness podcasts, and I'm just trying to do my best to be a good man like everyone else is.
Oh yeah, that's a good goal. So are you married? Do you have kids or anything? Are you single?
No, I'm recently single after a long-term relationship, which was it's tough. I mean, it's definitely hard, but you know, we just weren't meant to be together, and I had to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like this is gonna sound really bad because at first I was like really down the dumps and I was like heartbroken and stuff. I kind of prayed over it a lot, and it just kind of I started seeing it as like it's a second opportunity to do something else that I want to do,
Mm.
with my fitness. And um, I've got something I'm working on.
Okay.
Yeah, that it's just another opportunity. And when that time comes and I find the right person, it'll happen. But
Yeah.
God's got a plan for everyone, and I believe in that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things, being in your 20s and stuff, I try to tell just my other counterparts and stuff like that is if you're single, I'm actually just newly a boyfriend. I just,
Oh, nice.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to Black Rifle Coffee. I met her right there.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, super cool, man. I saw this pretty hair standing in front of me. I was like,
I'm gonna go shoot my shot here.
She actually shot her shot, which is
Oh,
pretty.
really?
Yeah. I was
When you
like,
tell
man,
that story like 5 years from now, don't mention that. Just say you shot the shot.
yeah, dude, absolutely. Well, because it's usually me and like 70-year-old vets in there. I was like, what is
What's
she
going
doing
on?
in there? Yeah, and I definitely believe that was from God for sure.
Yeah,
But one thing that I do tell my counterparts is that um you don't suddenly become a good man or a good husband or a good boyfriend even or a father. It's the day-to-day person that you're cultivating and building, because you can get the title all day long. I could be told I'm a dad, in a couple of years or anything like that, and if I didn't do my due diligence in building myself up, I will fall completely short of that title. So it is the continuous act, like you've said, and single, or even if you had a partner or anything like that, you have to constantly be shaping. And that's something I try to make sure and known, just because people think they have all the time to just, kind of party and drink, and nothing wrong with, like having fun once in a while, but there's definitely a chance where you're overindulging, and there's more negative than positive coming out of it. And so definitely being mindful that every action is shaping who you're going to be.
100%, man. I see that all the time. Like when you ask me if I had a good group of friends around me, and you're like, "Do you have any old friends?" And I'm like in my head, I'm like, "Man, I don't have any old friends, man. They used to
Hmm.
go. If I want to go see those people, all I got to do is go to the bar downtown, and I'll
Yep.
run into them. But that's not the
Absolutely.
life that I want to live. And I'm not putting any bad juju on them or anything, but that's their choice, and that's just not where I want to go.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So in your process with building, it seems like fitness, and like you said, you got some things on the move. How do you think that your day to day, or how is fitness able to shape you in that way? Because I do believe that staying fit and disciplined, and waking up every morning, or not eating, something pretty
Mhm.
crappy and stuff, fueling your body, taking care of it, is shaping you in all walks. So in what ways would you say that you think your journey, your videos, and your gym routine and stuff like that, fitness, help shape you?
I mean, people don't truly understand whenever other people tell them this, but it's like discipline is the ultimate freedom, because most people look at discipline like, what do you mean you can't have that cookie? Or what do you mean you can't have 2 beers? I
Hmm.
hear it at work all the time. I work in a corporate office, and they're like, we're going to do the work happy hour after work today. You want to go? And I'm like, I don't drink. I don't, I hang out with y'all all day. Not that I don't
Hmm.
want to hang out with you, but I don't drink, and I just don't want to put myself in that, that space. And they're like, man, you got to live a little bit. And I'm like,
Mm.
I like the way that I'm living. Like, I like being disciplined. I feel like it allows me to be the best me. And when I come into a room, I'm present. I used to drink in college like any other college kid did. And, like, I did dumb shit, and, I regretted it.
No.
But there was just one day where I was like, all right, I like being sober. I like being fit. I like feeling good. And that's the thing, is like they don't know how good it feels to feel good, right? They're eating processed food. They're eating McDonald's every day. They're getting 5 hours of sleep, and they're like, "Oh, it's all right. I'm just gonna cover it with another coffee or another,
Hmm.
bang." And it's like,
Energy.
come on. I just want to, like, if there was a pill you could give someone to just make them feel the best they could ever feel, like that would solve everyone's issue. Like they'd be like, "I'm not touching that ever again. I'm not
Hmm.
touching that drink. I'm not touching that food. Like this feeling is too good."
Yeah.
But yeah, people just, you gotta let them learn on their own, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have the same conversations at work as well. It's just I walk in, there's, multiple energy drinks and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, dude, this is kind of early, or candy, or just anything. And, to each his own for sure. But I mean, I feel like it would be, you know, um, not that well of me to not at least try and guide. I mean, what's the point of having knowledge if you don't even try
Yeah,
and attempt to share it, you know?
for sure.
Um, so you start getting to conversations when it comes to like testosterone and like hormones, and I'm like, dude, like, like you feel like you're like low energy or something.
Yeah,
I definitely myself have bouts of energy, but I have a stand up desk. I'm like, no, 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 I need to stand up.
yeah.
I need to go move,
Crank that thing up.
Yeah, I do all the way. So I try and stand most of the day, to be honest with you. But it's just that the one thing I do say is like your body will hit a median. Like it'll balance, it'll figure itself out anyways. Like
Hmm.
it's like, oh, it's used to having energy drinks and it's used to having crappy food and fast food and stuff. So it's like it's gonna adapt to having that. Because
It's
then when
gonna
you
adapt.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, so you're gonna feel fine. But internally it's still chipping away. It's still chipping away at
it's the
your
long haul, man.
fat.
It's the long game for sure. Like, people are like, man, I felt good until I turned 50, and then now it's like, well, you did a lot of stuff you probably shouldn't have done,
Hmm.
before 50, and they're like, man, I really wish I did this back when I was younger, and I did this, and it's like you got to choose, you got to choose one or the other. And I try to help people at work. Like I have people that follow me on my videos, and like,
Hmm.
hey man, can you look at like my workout program? Like, what do you think about this? And like, I try to help them out, and they're like, what do you think I should be eating? Like, what nutrition, should I have? And I try to give them tips and pointers. But I can only give them so much knowledge. They have to, put the action in themselves.
I mean, it kind of goes back to what you said earlier when you were saying it is helpful to have somebody who will do it with you. But at
Hmm.
the end of the day, like if you're driving down the road and you kind of want a craving, or you're the only one in your house, in your room, in your truck, and it only comes down to you,
That
yeah,
voice, man.
yeah. It
Yep.
comes down to you, and I would say probably the most fulfilling thing is when somebody actually like listens.
Oh
um
yeah, yeah.
and I think it is important, as much as it is important to help, it's also important to make sure that your words don't fall on deaf ears.
Hmm. Yeah,
You're trying to provide wisdom and guidance, and they just like they think it's helpful to hear it, but not acting on it is the deciding factor. Like at my Christmas party this past Saturday, tons and tons of drinking for sure. I had, a couple, and I was like, no, 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 I'm good. I'm good. Like, just wanted to relax. And then, but everyone's definitely going hard at the paint for sure. But I had a buddy come up to me, and during a workout I was just doing a hit, something crazy, something just insane, just cleans and then assault bike, just ramping that heart rate up.
yeah.
And he's like, man, I'm really trying to cut and get lean. And, I gave him some tips and tricks. And at the Christmas party, when all that's happening, he's like, dude, I lost 15 pounds.
Really,
Just doing
that's
hits.
awesome.
Yeah, I gave him like 3 hits to do. Like, I go, do these. These are my favorite ones to do. And he lost 15 pounds. This is like a course of a month, 2 months, maybe.
Man, if he just keeps it going.
Yeah, and he's a pretty stocky dude. So it was just cool, with as many people as asked for advice, to have somebody have something good to say. I was like, good man, that's you have that one off that where they listen and then they understand that sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, it's like super fulfilling when someone does take your advice and they actually see the result from it because they put in the work.
Hmm.
Uh, I've got a lady that goes to the gym I go to, and she's an older woman, and she'll ask me tips and tricks all the time. Like when she first came into the gym, she couldn't do an air squat, and
Dang.
kind of helped coach her over the years, and like now she's doing box jumps, she's doing air squats, she's doing wall balls, she's doing like single under jump ropes. It's like, man, this is crazy. Like, and
Hmm.
she's like, she loves it, and I can see why. You go from not being able to really move well to now you can move better than you did in your 40s. Like, of course you're gonna love it, but it's awesome to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I imagine you get that kind of like fulfillment in your programming, right? Project Beef. So like more about that specifically. So is it just like one program, multiple programs, or what's
So it's one program. So it's what I do every single day. It's the warm up, the metcon, the strength, and the accessory or bodybuilding or finisher. And it's not necessarily one to one, but I tell everyone in the group, I'm like, hey, if you have any questions, you can put them in the team chat or you can DM me. Like, feel free to reach out. I'll respond as soon as I can. So there are some people that'll be like, what do you think that I should do for my nutrition? And I'm like, well, Like, let's talk about, how's your sleep? How's your nutrition? How's your hydration? What stress levels are you dealing with? And then we can kind of build a game plan from there. But it's definitely not like one-on-one where we're having calls every single day or check or anything like that. It's not like a high ticket offer. It's a low ticket just because I don't want my goal is, if someone wants to get fit, I want to make it easily accessible to them. And I don't want to tell someone, hey, I'm going to charge you $500 to do this whenever. Like, I'm just trying to spread this to everyone that wants to get fit, right? Like, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because, like you said, it fulfills me whenever other people are getting fit. Like, I've loved fitness, and like I loved going to the games and doing all that. But man, I love going to local competitions more where it's like people from the gym I go to do really well in the comp and they're just like, that is their CrossFit games, right? And I
Absolutely.
get to watch it and I'm like, damn, this is better than like me doing it. Like I love this. So yeah, it's just a low ticket offer programming, and there's a little bit more. It's not just like, hey, do this and don't like ever talk to me or ask questions. Like, I'll give guidance, I'll give reps, scaling for reps, scaling for weights, stuff like that, movements. But I try to make it as accessible to anyone as it can be.
Okay, gotcha. And that's through like an
It's through
app.
Train Heroic. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Nice. And do you would say it's more of a beginner, or should you have some understanding of movements generally, or do you think?
I mean, I think that you should probably have a general understanding of movement, just because there is, a little bit of Olympic lifting in there. There's power cleans and power snatches. So if you haven't touched any of that, I would say it's nothing crazy. Like they're very light. Like my training from games training to now has backed down a lot. I don't do any kipping pull-ups anymore. I don't do any butterflies. Yeah, like my shoulders,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm in here for the long haul. I want to be doing this when I'm 50, 60.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
so I'm all about, we're going to do strict pull-ups. If we're going to do handstand push-ups, we're going to do them strict because I want you to build strict strength versus you bouncing off of your neck.
Mm-hmm.
If we're gonna do box jumps, I don't. It doesn't have to be RX. If you struggle to do a box jump, we're gonna do a box step up. Or if you struggle to do a box jump over, we're gonna do a step over. Everything in my program, I try to make it as scalable as possible so that everyone can do it. Because I believe in CrossFit or in fitness, the greatest way to make an adaptation is through intensity. If
Yeah.
you're not bringing intensity, you won't see the result. I could do 100 deadlifts at 225 in 10 hours over the spread of 10 hours. And yeah, I did that much volume. But if I tell you, hey, I want you to do 100 deadlifts every minute on the minute, 10 reps, and it's a 10-minute EMOM, that's a stimulus versus
Yeah.
the other one, like you're
Oh
going to
yeah.
see some difference. So,
No,
yeah.
absolutely. Okay, nice, nice. So with your content and stuff, where would you like to see all of this go? Like if you're being able to, point yourself in a direction of a focal point or a target or so, where would you like to have your content to kind of go?
I mean, with my content, I just started making it like 5.5 months ago, and like I was like, man, I'm not even gonna get 1,000 followers, right? Like I was like, this is not gonna work. And the first video was like, it took me like 10 minutes just to press the post button because I was like, this is cringy, like blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And then it just kind of like snowballed, and now I'm gaining some traction. So I would love to keep growing the page, of course. And if anyone, I just want to get eyeballs on it. And if people are curious and they want to do some training, like I am doing, like I want there to be an avenue for them to do that. Um, because I get it. People get bored with certain things. Like I did bodybuilding and I got bored with it. I got bored of doing curls and presses in front of a mirror, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then I think there's a cultural shift happening in the fitness industry right now,
Oh yeah.
and people are seeking more of the high intensity interval training. They're seeking high rocks and they're seeking CrossFit and they're seeking, even like Orange Theories or stuff like that because there's a community aspect to it. And I think that's the main thing is like going to the gym alone versus going into a class with 10 people that you like and you're all kind of getting after it together. Like that's just a different feeling. You know, you're going to push harder when there's someone next to you that, you know, there's a little bit of like, I don't even, it's like a frenemy, right? Like you're like, I just want to beat this person. But then when the workout's over, it's like, all right, they did a good job and I did a good job. And now, we're still buddies. Like, I don't think there's any hard feelings. Like, I think the community is the big aspect, right? And I want
Hmm.
everyone to, even if you're doing my training online and we're not working out together, like there is a community there, and there's group chat, there's a leaderboard, you can see kind of everything going on, and I just want to kind of spread that.
Gotcha. I respect that a lot because it will eventually go to that community aspect where you're like, you don't even have to have the person directly by you anymore, where you can all feel that community aspect, which is very cool when it comes to
Hmm.
that kind of development. So I like
For
that a
sure.
lot. So would you say, like, in your journey up to this point, as far as self development goes, what's something that you would say you're doing well at, and what's something you would want to improve on?
Something I'm doing well at, of course, would be the fitness stuff and my nutrition and my sleep. Something that I still think I'm doing well at it, but I always want to get better at it is, diving deeper into my faith. So I think for a lot of years, like, in middle school and even in high school, like I thought faith was just you go to church on Sunday and,
Hmm.
you know, check in for the week and then you move on and I'll see you again on Sunday. And the older I get, like, you start living life and you start experiencing certain things and you realize that like faith is so much more than that. And for every experience that anyone can have, there's a story about it and it's already there. And it's in the Bible. So I'm trying to dig into that, really big right now, and just build my relationship with Christ.
Good. No, yeah, I'm a huge advocate of it. I'm sure you know Jason Kalipa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He puts out really good content too, and it's like he has like an acronym. I think it's Bible, Coffee, Burpees,
Hmm.
BRB, right? Like, or whatever that
He's
acronym would
got
be.
something I've seen it.
Yeah, something like that. And it's super cool. I like it because it's very, very simple, right? Like he opens his word, and I saw that. Another thing again with the social media. I'm like, I don't know him. I've exchanged a couple messages with him a little bit, which is kind of cool. But
Yeah.
it's cool. I like that. So I had my Bible sitting on my table. So when I see it, you have to be mindful. Like even then, right? Like there's other people who are probably they are way better at reading their Bible than we are.
Oh, for sure.
Right, yeah, obviously, but it's the same thing where you follow the same habits as you would a workout, right? We would
Hmm.
tell somebody a good habit for getting a workout in is set yourself up for success, right? That
Hmm.
Bible's doing no good if it's not in front of me,
Yep. Yep.
so it's just like treating it the same way. Discipline follows no matter the topic.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah.
Have you heard of Philip Anthony Mitchell? He's a
Mm-mm.
pastor at a church in Atlanta, Georgia, called 2819, and he's big on Instagram. Like he's got reels and stuff on him. But man, I'm like falling in love with all of his services. Man, he speaks to me, speaks like the truth, and I just resonate with the way he talks. And you'll probably see him now. The algorithm will get you or something.
Yeah,
But
it's gonna register in my laptop and then go to my
yeah,
phone. No,
for sure.
I'll get that name again from you offline.
Yeah.
And I'll go check it out. But yeah, man, I definitely respect what it is that drives you. All you want to do is try and use the gifts that God gave you, and the interest as far as fitness goes. Um, it's just gonna pour out, and it's gonna reflect in your content as well, and as well as your app, right? And so when you lead with genuineness, all that shows in the end is genuineness. There's no fakeness, right? There's nothing that you have to pretend to be or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like one of the first things when I started doing Instagram. I was like, do I want to be like an influencer or like what do I want to do? And then you see like all these fitness influencers and it just feels like 99% of them are just like an actor or performance. And I'm like, man, that's not me. And like, I'm just going to show my workouts. And if it inspires people, it inspires people. But I'm not going to like, rehearse a clip 25 times for a 20-second clip so I look as good as I can for other people. Like, I want to be genuine.
Yeah. No, I can see it. You know, you could tell you're killing it during the workouts and stuff like that. You know, and I'm definitely I'm gonna implement them this week in my workout just because.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely want to give them a try, and I'll send you a feedback and everything. I'll be like,
Yeah,
dude,
man.
that
Let
shit
me
killed
know.
me. Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah, man, definitely. Well, thank you again, man. I appreciate you hopping on and stuff like that. And yeah, I look forward to seeing your growth and progress and in all of this journey for sure.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, man.